Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're looking at a story that plays out almost exactly like a massive strategy game. Imagine a scenario where a nation intentionally and systematically levels up its economy, moving step by step from the most basic resources to literally dominating the world's most advanced technology. Well, that is the true story of Taiwan.
Okay, let's dive into this, because the contrast here is absolutely incredible. Just 130 years ago, Taiwan was a poor, mostly isolated agricultural region. But today, it stands as a tech titan with a massive $466 billion economy, producing the highly advanced components that power the very devices you and I use every single day. So, we really have to ask ourselves, how exactly did a relatively small, resource-poor island manage to transform into a global economic titan? It's like a giant puzzle. But by looking at the data and history, we're going to solve it together step by step.
Section 1. Colonial Roots and Survival.
All right, to set up the board, let's quickly compress about 300 years of history. Taiwan was conquered by China back in 1683, and they built early canals and roads to use the island as a sugar and tea producer. Then, in 1895, Japan took control, making Taiwan its first colony. Fast forward to 1948, following the Chinese Civil War, the Republic of China government retreated to Taiwan, establishing the starting line for the modern era. This incredible baton pass of control gave Taiwan a truly unique starting position.
Now notice the stark difference in colonial approaches here. European colonizers generally focused on extracting raw resources, things like gold or cotton, which made the colony entirely reliant on the homeland. But Japan? They did something different. Because Japan lacked farmland and needed a productive extension of its own homeland, they built vital infrastructure in Taiwan. They constructed railroads, sewer systems, and hospitals, and they actually educated the population in medicine, engineering, and science. So they gave Taiwan a rare industrialized agricultural base.
But when Japan lost World War II, they left. And suddenly, Taiwan had almost no experienced bureaucrats, doctors, or engineers to run this advanced infrastructure. Then, in 1948, as the Republic of China government retreated to the island, they were cut off, totally isolated, and facing the constant threat of invasion. It was a massive existential crisis. To build a military capable of surviving, they needed money. So how on earth could Taiwan survive and get rich with what little they had left?
Section 2. Igniting the economic engine.
So, to buy weapons and basically just survive, the government had to optimize their farmland. They executed this brilliantly simple land reform strategy. They took the massive plots of farmland previously owned by large Japanese companies and handed them directly to regular Taiwanese citizens. But the genius part was that they strictly limited how much land any single person could own. They completely broke up the monopolies. By doing this, they intentionally forced thousands of small farmers to fiercely compete with one another.
To really get why this works, think about the modern shipping industry for a second. Shipping algorithms that predict engine failures are incredibly efficient, but the shipping industry is terribly slow to adopt them. Why? Because just 3 massive players dominate the oceans. Without intense competition, giant monopolies just don't need to innovate. But when you have thousands of small farms, well, if one farmer buys a new tractor, the rest have to innovate instantly or go bankrupt. Competition forces efficiency.
And this brilliantly illustrates the result. The efficiency was staggering. In 1952, 56% of Taiwan's population were farmers. But because of that intense competition and the new use of modern techniques and fertilizers, fewer people were needed to grow way more food. By 2009, that number plummeted to just 5.1%. This massive agricultural success freed up a huge amount of labor, sending workers straight to the cities for the very next phase of the game.
Part 3. Upgrading the industrial machine. Okay, to upgrade the industrial machine, they managed the transition through a system called state capitalism. Basically, the government set up large foundational businesses. For instance, there was a company literally just called Taiwan Fertilizer. The state controlled this massive supplier to quietly steer the economy's direction, while thousands of individual citizens ran private, smaller farms and businesses that bought from them. The government provided the foundation, and the citizens provided the hustle. Using this system, Taiwan leveled up from basic chemicals to plastics to textiles to steel and eventually to building the heavy machinery that makes everything else. And here's where they turned a potential weakness into a total logistical advantage. Exporting heavy machinery is usually really hard, but Taiwan is a small island. Everything is close to the sea. they drove export numbers absolutely through the roof.
Section 4, Solving the Labor Crisis.
Now, this unbelievable success actually created a brand new, highly counterintuitive bottleneck. By the 1980s, the cities had absorbed all the workers from the countryside, and the unemployment rate plummeted toward an astonishing 0%. Now, I know that sounds like a perfect economy, right? But it's actually a terrible position for growth.
Think of it like this very explainer channel. If we want to expand our production from, say, 4 episodes a year to 10, we're going to need to hire more animators and researchers. But if literally everyone already has a job, we can't hire anyone. Our business literally cannot expand. When a country hits 0% unemployment, new industries cannot be built because there is simply no one left to build them.
So, to solve this labor shortage, Taiwan executed 2 solutions. First, they heavily automated their existing factories, replacing human labor with machines. Second, they took their older, low-skill industries, like cheap textiles, and moved those factories out of Taiwan entirely, into neighboring places like China and Southeast Asia. This freed up the Taiwanese workforce, allowing the citizens to level up into much higher-paying, advanced tech jobs.
Part 5. The Computerization Strategy. By the 1990s, Taiwan had successfully chased the West, but they hit a wall. They had completely caught up and had nothing left to copy. So the crucial point is how they solved this, and it was through company alliances. In 1993, the government brought competing computer companies together into a consortium and basically tasked them with inventing a fully assembled PC base model. Once they succeeded, every single company in the alliance got the patent. They could then take that base model back to their own labs, individually improve different parts, like processors or graphics cards, and sell them. They proved that pooling knowledge up front equals massive exponential profit down the line.
Section 6, the small business advantage.
Taiwan's unique strength really lies in these small businesses, making their economy incredibly resilient, almost bulletproof against global crashes. Think of large megacorporations like a mass-market Twix bar. They have incredible resources, but if consumer tastes suddenly shift to organic dark chocolate, they have to retool massive global supply chains. Taiwanese small and medium enterprises, or SMEs, are more like bespoke, highly customized homemade chocolate. They're small, agile, and fiercely focused on niche markets. When crises hit, like the 1997 Asian financial crisis or the 2008 Great Recession, these small Taiwanese companies could adapt their products and strategies instantly, keeping the economy afloat while giant international competitors just sank.
Let's move to and see how this all builds into the ultimate strategy, the Taiwanese economic playbook. It's literally a loop they just repeat endlessly. 1. Develop a basic industry. 2. Upgrade that industry to higher tech using state capitalism and alliances. 3. When you run out of labor, move the old, cheap industry abroad. 4. Move your newly freed workforce in to dominate the next tier of advanced technology. They just keep repeating the cycle, continually generating immense wealth. From an isolated agricultural island fighting for survival to a $466 billion tech giant powering the globe, they have absolutely mastered the art of adapting to constraints. So the ultimate question to leave you with is this. As our world rapidly changes today, what new global crisis will Taiwan inevitably turn into its very next competitive advantage? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this sparked your curiosity to learn even more.